It's already recording.
It is.
You see my mouth.
Let me call to order. Let me call to order the November 8, 2023 Borough Council Committee of the Whole meeting. I would ask you to rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, before we start with the reports, let me offer congratulations to 3 of our counselors who won re-election yesterday. Good job.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for staying on with us. Also, I'd like to take this time to remember Charles D. Garner Sr. He is the father of our borough solicitor, Chuck Garner. Charles D. Garner Sr. passed away on October 28, 2023. Charlie was sworn in as the 7th Ward Councilor on October 7, 1972. Later, he was appointed as Vice President of Council on January 4, 1982, and as President of Council from January 6, 1986 through December 28, 1989. Charlie was a dedicated public servant, worked at Bethlehem Steel, also as a Director of Public Property for Montgomery County. He worked as a property manager for the Tri-County Business Campus until his death. And I knew Charlie personally. He was just a wonderful man. And we're sorry for Chuck's loss and offer our condolences to the family. Okay, under Subcommittee Infrastructure, Councilor Lebedinsky. We have your attachments.
Senior attachment.
Yep, okay. Transportation? No meeting. Safety Committee. I don't see Frank. Not here. Fish and Methods Committee, Councilor Lebedinsky.
No,
Sorry, Safety Committee,
It's Stephanie.
Oh, you have the safety?
It says Mayor Hendrick.
I don't know, thought my name was on there, so. Just not a
No.
big update, but Shot
it is.
Spotter is up and running and is working as promised and advertised, so
Oh,
that is
okay,
good.
great. Now, Fish and Methods.
Nothing of note.
Okay. And the Ordinance Review Committee, Councilor Proskal.
We discussed a number of things. Probably the most interesting are grocery store definitions and I guess signed ordinances and traffic requirement for studies.
All right.
Traffic ordinance.
We just, when traffic studies are used for either conditional uses or other things.
Human Relations, Ms. Levengood.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. November is Native American Heritage Month. This presidential designation aims to provide a platform for Native people to share their cultural traditions, music, crafts, dance, and ways and conceptions of life. November the 11th is Veterans Day to honor those who have served in the United States Armed Forces. And November 23rd is Thanksgiving. It's a great time to be thankful and appreciate all that we have. The commission's next meeting will be held on Tuesday, November the 14th at 6 p.m. in council chambers, and all are welcome to attend.
Very good. Thank you. Library. Minty? Hello?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Nice to see you. I would first just like to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak at the last committee of the whole meeting. All of you should have received a invitation to our celebration for our Gold Star with the state of Pennsylvania. Rob Lesher is the program manager for the TA Forward program, and he will be in attendance, as well as both school superintendents from Pottsgrove and Pottstown. The Pottstown School District student cards are in the final phase before the live launch. So very soon, in the next week or two, we will have active student cards for every student in kindergarten through 12th grade in the Pottstown School District. Pottsgrove will soon be to follow. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you about is we are having on Saturday, December 16th at 2 o'clock is our second annual cookie walk. There will be a 7-piece brass band playing. We will have a variety of cookies. You get a tin when you come in, and you get to fill it up with whatever cookies you like. We'll have a small gift table to purchase some last-minute stocking stuffers and gifts. We'll have a craft for the kids to do, and it's just going to be a really great way to kick off the holiday season on the 16th of December. So we hope that everybody will come and join us for that. So that's my report for tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, Ricketts Center, Counselor Kirkland. No report. And Pottstown School District, Counselor Lindsay.
Let me get over here, sorry. I was trying to bring up something for the Ricketts. Just one thing, November 20th at 5:30 to 7, at the Ricketts, they're gonna have a Thanksgiving meals for the community. Okay, so mark your calendars for that. Now let me get back there. November 20th. Sorry, guys. Okay, so the school district is hiring. I was gonna name them all, but there's a lot, so I'm not gonna name them all, but I'm gonna give you the website. It's Pottstown T as in Tom, E as in Edward, D as in David, K as in King, 12.com. Okay, so go on that site, there's a lot of opportunity out there, so, there's some up-to-date ones, it was, some just posted today, and some as old as September 21st. So, the school district is hiring. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. And from our solicitor, Mr. Hovey?
Yes, tonight's topic is your reorganization meeting. Section 1001 of the Borough Code requires council to organize on the first Monday of January of each even-numbered year, or else on the first Tuesday if the first Monday is a legal holiday. This can be contrasted with townships, which are required to reorganize every year. The reason it's required on even years is that, like this year, municipal elections are held during odd years. As a result, reorganization occurs when newly elected or re-elected councilors take office following an election. For 2024, reorganization will occur on Tuesday, January 2nd, because the first Monday is New Year's Day. Prior to reorganization, all newly elected and re-elected councilors need to be sworn into office and complete all required forms. They can be sworn in by a judge or magisterial district justice of the county, a notary public, or the mayor. The reorganization meeting is a public meeting required to be advertised and open to the public and is subject to the requirements of the Sunshine Act, including the need to create and post an agenda. Public comment is also required. The reorganization can be limited to just reorganization, but may also include any other business council wishes to entertain, so long as the published meeting notice provides for that option. For example, if the first Monday, or in the case of 2024, the first Tuesday, is a municipality's regular meeting night, then council or the board may proceed with a regular agenda once reorganization is complete. With respect to Pottstown, however, you typically only conduct your reorganization that evening. Pursuant to Section 1003A of the Borough Code, The mayor presides over the reorganization meeting until reorganization is complete. The mayor can actually count towards a quorum if it's needed. While rare, the circumstance can arise when members of council are absent, no one got elected to a vacant seat on council, or newly elected or re-elected councilors failed to take the oath of office in advance of the reorganization meeting. Technically, reorganization is complete when a president and vice president are elected. Consequently, once the vice president is elected, the meeting is turned over to the president, or in his or her absence, the vice president to complete the meeting. Here in Pottstown, council then normally proceeds with several other appointments. These include the president pro tem, who presides over meetings in the absence of both the president and vice president, the secretary, treasurer, solicitor, assistant solicitor, borough engineer, planning commission engineer, and open records officer. You're also required to elect someone who is a registered voter of the borough, not on council, to serve as the chairperson of the vacancy board. For each office, from president through vacancy board chairperson, prior to the election of someone to those offices, the floor is open for nominations. It's commonly thought that a nomination requires a nomination and then a second by someone else, similar to a motion. This is incorrect. A nomination only requires a first. Nominations are then voted on in the order they are received until a nomination is supported by a majority vote of those councilors who were present at the meeting. For example, if council included a Jack, Jill, and James, and they got nominated in that order to be president, council would vote first on whether to elect Jack to that position. If Jack did not receive a majority of the votes of those present at the meeting, then council would vote on Jill. If Jill also failed to gain majority support, then council would vote on James. This process will repeat in that manner until someone is elected, and someone can be nominated multiple times if needed. Pursuant to Section 1003D, the mayor would break a tie vote for any appointment. Here in Pottstown, council also typically adopts its rules of order as its last item of business during reorganization. These are the rules that govern the procedure for your meetings, including things like the adoption of Robert's Rules of Order, the order of business, the manner in which votes are taken, the limits on comment by public officials, elected officials, and the public, and other similar rules. Ideally, this is when council would consider any changes to its rules for the next cycle. Nevertheless, the Borough Code merely requires that reorganization occur at that first meeting. It does not limit reorganization to only that first meeting of the year, and so technically any of these appointments or the adoption of the rules of order can occur at any time if the need arises or it's council's pleasure to revisit them. If council fails to complete reorganization, which, as I noted, technically just means the appointment of a president and vice president within 10 days of the required night, then 10 registered voters of the borough may petition the Court of Common Pleas for assistance. If the court finds that there is not good cause for why council failed to reorganize, then the court may actually declare vacant the seat of any member of council who's determined to be responsible for the failure to reorganize, and then the court may appoint someone to fill that seat. Again, your reorganization will occur Tuesday, January 2nd, and those of you who got reelected that evening will need to be sworn in prior to or at the start of that meeting. Hopefully this provides you with some legal context for that meeting and demystifies the process some. Does anybody have any questions?
That was a lot.
Tantalizing stuff.
That was a lot of information.
Yep.
You did a good job.
Okay. And for your report, Madam Mayor?
Yes, good evening. Since last time, I presented to the Western Montgomery County Dems on the importance of local elections and the impact that that has on our daily lives. And while I'm on elections, I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers, committee people, judge of elections, door knockers, lit droppers, poll workers, everyone here for working and doing your civic duty and making a very smooth election day yesterday. So thank you. We had an exciting ribbon cutting slash groundbreaking at Montgomery County Community College for their 1 acre of green space. And I'm really excited about the plans that they have and the mock-up for that area. I want to congratulate Bows's Catering for winning the Best Grilled Cheese Competition of 2023 for Tri-County Area Senior Center. And I know we don't call it the Senior Center anymore because
Active adult, is it?
track.
Oh, I don't know.
Active Adult Center. Yes, there we go. I apologize.
Gotcha.
That was a lot of fun. And I think I attended almost all of the Halloween or tried to, fall activities that Pottstown put on. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Parks and Rec, Nova Riding Stables, North End Swim Club, Carousel, Pottstown Arts, Pottstown Farm, Steel River, Ricketts Center, YMCA, YWCA, the library, Janet Friedline, Hobart's Run, the Hill School, and everyone else that I am not mentioning, all of the participating businesses and organizations for really making it a fantastic and fun month for the community. I also want to thank Hobart's Run and the Hill School, Tower Health, Joe Cerisi, and Tracy Pennyquick for sponsoring the Halloween parade. And a special thank you to Pottstown Cares and Headmistress Kathleen Devaney for jumping in and doing the Monster Mash with us. That was a lot of fun. And I'd also like to thank Reverend Nicole as well. Councilwoman Banny and I met with residents at Tent City, and we spoke to them about their plight and services needed and talked about possible solutions. As you may know, I am the newest board member of the Schuylkill River Passenger Rail Authority, which I am honored and glad to be at the table next to Reading and Phoenixville. And they had their October meeting at Montgomery County Community College in Pottstown, which was very nice. And so I'm excited about being a part of that board and hopefully getting the time down for when the train is going to actually happen. At the Week Without Violence YWCA event, they had a Stop the Bleed and CPR training, which I only got to go to a little bit of it. I know John Armato went to it, and it was so helpful that they're going to present. I'm going to have them present to council at one of our meetings, so that maybe we can do it live on camera to do some CPR training and Stop the Bleed training. And sorry. I also shadowed a mentor for Strive at the middle school. I will be mentoring middle school students, and I am on my way to being by myself mentoring. I'm also on the steering committee for the Montgomery County Planning Commission, Climate Action Committee. And I am pleased to announce that the first draft of the Climate Action Plan for 2050 is out, which I will be reviewing in the next couple of weeks and making revisions to. But this is huge, huge progress because this committee formed right before the pandemic. So I'm excited and happy to put in some revisions into this and make sure that Pottstown can actually meet those suggestions. I don't have a huge list of all the events today, so I apologize. I can list more on Monday. Go to Facebook or Parks and Rec newsletter. I do want to highlight just 2 things. Tomorrow night, Thursday the 9th, Soul Joel's is having a fundraiser comedy show starting at 7 p.m. for Beacon of Hope. Trinita mentioned Ricketts Center on November 20th. That is a free to-go Thanksgiving meal and first come, first serve.
I'm gonna take that. Yeah, me too. I'm about to take it. One more time. Like the kids. Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, and I'm sorry, last but not least, Now through December 15th, Hobart's Run, Sodexo Dining Services, and the Hill School are having a non-perishable food drive that benefits Operation 143, the Ricketts Center, and Beacon of Hope. So please collect all your non-perishable items. Go to their website to see what Operation 143's requirements are for the food as far as Pop Tops. And they are collecting until 12:15. And save the date, Santa's coming to town by dragon boat on December 2nd. And that's all I have for my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And from our manager, Mr. Keller.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and I have a couple updates for you here tonight. So just to follow up on the Schuylkill River Passenger Rail Association meeting, that they held their first meeting here in Pottstown, and thanks to the elected officials who were able to come out and join us. But this is their first in-person meeting of the year, and they picked Pottstown to highlight some of the many efforts that the borough has been undertaking to try and bring rail service back to our area and the development of the train station and the area around the train station to fruition. So although rail service is still several years away, we are positioned better than we have ever been before to make this a reality. Pottstown that day presented on three main planning efforts that are ongoing currently, which include development of transportation opportunities on underutilized parcels, mainly the Keim Street Plan and the Keep Plan along Keystone Boulevard. We're also working with a group called Impact, which is a grassroots community engagement and advocacy group. We're working on transit-oriented design best practices, so we're studying those, along with equitable transportation infrastructure, downtown development, strategies, funding mechanisms, and capacity buildings, and this is through a technical assistance grant through the federal government Thriving Communities Program. And then also more recently through PMRPC, Pottstown Metropolitan Regional Planning Committee, we are going to embark with DVRPC to do some conceptual station area design, station area design, and TOD planning. We'll look at possible mixed-use development designs, incorporating wraparound and structured parking, and how to connect transit to the towns in the wider region as well. So the next steps for the Rail Authority is the establishment of a federal ID corridor number, which would qualify them for federal funding to keep this effort going. And they're hoping to have that within the next several months. On the fire side, Chief And and I also convened a regional meeting for all the fire companies in the Pottsgroves as well as Pottstown, where we discussed enhancing cooperation for training, regional training opportunities and facilities, regional grant coordination to make grants more competitive, since we're all trying to get the same money out of the same pot. Sharing resources with the effort to try to reduce duplication, given the rapidly increasing costs of apparatus and equipment, and then better coordination for interagency responses for big events. So it was our first meeting. The meeting was very positive and encouraging for enhancing regional cooperation. And we discussed the formation of working groups and the establishment of quarterly meetings with the fire chiefs and the managers. So we'll keep you updated on our progress there. Also wanted to update everyone that the authority is in the process of amending its articles of incorporation and hopes to have a formal discussion with council in December on this. So the original articles of incorporation established the authority for a period of 50 years. They're looking to extend that for another 50 years. They're also looking to amend the management agreement to ensure that there's a consistent management fee revenue stream provided to the borough and overall better predictability of funding for both parties. They're also proposing to modify their articles of incorporation to reflect already established authority efforts to fund certain improvement outside of its originally intended purpose of water and sewer infrastructure. On the public works side, met with the team today. They're working on getting equipment set up for brining. We're going to This will be the first year that we'll be having brining on the roadways for the winter. This will allow us to pre-treat the roadways, and also is an added advantage. It allows us to treat the roadways in temperatures below 20 degrees, which you can't do with regular road salt. So we'll have 2 brining trucks in the borough, hopefully at some point soon this winter. And then, you know, we're also gonna save money on salt, because this requires less of that material, and over time as well, since for some of the smaller events, we won't have to wait until the snow starts to fall. We'll be able to pre-treat that and get that taken care of as it's falling. Couple park improvement projects that I do want to note. The roof was replaced at Trilogy BMX. So this is a long-planned project that was delayed due to multiple other priorities that were pulling the Parks and Rec budget. So that has been completed now, and the BMX track now has adequate indoor facilities for storage and training. And then also, Parks and Rec had a very successful spooky golf down at Manatawny Green for Halloween. They put a lot of effort into it this year. They attracted 300+ visitors during the spooky golf operation, and then there was some cross promotion that we did with the carousel as well. And lastly, just to follow up on some of the comments previously, Parks and Recreation is looking into permitting requirements for organized groups that regularly use park facilities for uses other than large events. So they're looking at park ordinance requirements, and also we'll review those recommendations and hope to have something in the next couple of months for council to take a look at. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Thank you.
If I just may comment, Justin, you did a fantastic job presenting to the Schuylkill River Passenger Rail Authority and really set the bar for the rest of the counties, and I was thoroughly impressed. I know I'm new to the board, but that was fantastic presentation, so thank you for all that hard work.
Yep, he did a good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think it's important that, you know, we demonstrate leadership in this. Pottstown likes to always blaze the trail on some of these things, so I'm glad to be a part
As
of
we
that.
should.
You certainly
As we should.
You certainly did set it high.
He did a good job.
They're gonna have to work all month to compete with that. Okay, we have a presentation?
Yes. So if John Mizik would like to come forward, sir. He has a presentation or a discussion for us on skill games, which I understand are presently unregulated, and therefore they're kind of void of any type of rules or regulations on the use and the operation of skill machines. So the way I understand it is that their proposal is for the borough to create regulations and name their entity as the sole authorized operators. So hopefully I didn't misspeak, and I will let you have the floor from here, Mr. Mizik. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening, councilors, Madam Mayor. Skill games are prevalent throughout the county, the state, and we represent a nonprofit organization, Veterans Standing Together. We basically provide transportation to hospital, doctor, and dental appointments for those who can't get it. One of the ways that we've come across to raise funds for doing that was through skill games. When we first got into it about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was wide open. It was the wild, wild west. People were putting skill games in mini marts, laundromats, gas stations, because there are no regulations. A 12-year-old child can come in and play if they feel like it, and the person that has the skill game allows them. So what we did was we came up with a way to where it would not only benefit our veterans, but it would benefit Pottstown as well. We would take control of all the skill games within the borough. We would set the standard for how many games are going to be put in each place that would want them. We would supply the skill games, and we would give 20% of the net profit to the borough. In order to do this, we have to have some type of, I don't want to call it regulation power, but some type of backing to where we're able to go in and say, okay, our skill games are the only ones that are going to be here. But what that does is, that gives us an opportunity to raise the level to 18 before you can come in and play. It gives us the ability to limit how many games are put into the community. At present, there's one gas station in Pottstown that has more than 20 games. And what happens with no regulation, the courts have ruled that skill games are permitted, but not slot machines. We know of at least 6 locations in Pottstown that have slot machines because there's no one to say that you can't. So what we're looking to do is to enter into a contract with Pottstown, or if you create some form of skill game operator position through an ordinance, and try to start regulating. You know, there's no regulation throughout the state. It doesn't matter where you put them. It doesn't matter how many you put in. And believe me, they say that they're not slot machines, and they're not. And what makes them not a slot machine is because you have to interact with the machine in order to win. Where with a slot machine, you hit the button and it tells you whether you win or lose. So it doesn't fall within the gaming laws of the Commonwealth. They've ruled that the gaming laws don't apply. And I guess that's basically it. If you have any questions with the presentation that I sent in to you, or any questions I can answer.
There is a handout that everyone has, 4 pages, if you want to take a look at it.
Question for you. Are there any municipalities that you have contracts with now?
No, but we're talking.
Okay, so this would be the first, so we have no place to go to see how it's doing or how the income is flowing? Okay.
Right. Well, with the income for a skill game, one thing about them is that it counts every penny that goes in and every penny that goes out. Can't be changed. The machine is, it does all of its own accounting to create a percentages and nets, and so to determine how much was actually made, what you would do is you just go to the game and enter your code, and it would give you a listing of all the percentages of what games were played, how much money went into it, how much was paid out of it. And if you saw the figures, I don't think you would believe it. I mean, for Pottstown alone, we estimated that at 20%, we would be providing you with about $400,000 a year. So if you do the math, it's well over $1 million a year that goes into them, just in Pottstown.
Do I understand that these games are actually paying out cash?
No, they don't pay out cash. What they do is they provide a slip. The person, when they're finished playing, will hit a button, it provides a slip, and then that slip is given to an attendant who then pays the cash.
Lottery ticket.
The actual machine won't provide any cash.
No, that is correct, yeah. I had some clients that were interested in these skill games. Are you talking about taking 20% off the total take, or what they make? Because I remember some operators that I talked to, the people who supply the machines, they take 60%
Yeah,
off the top.
off the top.
Off the top.
Yep.
You make $1, they take 60 cents.
We don't do that.
No, no,
Our I know, but
but
our organization wouldn't do that. We believe that a 50-50 deal is an even deal. So that's what we do, 50%. The 60% they take from the top is not only that, but it's a management fee that they have to pay to one of the companies that provides the machines. We don't have that fee. We buy our machines outright.
Okay, so you would be the supplier of the
We would be
machines
the
as
supplier of
opposed
the
to
machine.
the current suppliers of the machines?
Exactly. This is what would give us the opportunity to set some standards. I mean, when you walk into a game room or a place that has skill games and you see a 13-year-old sitting there pumping money into a skill game, and the person behind the counter who owns the location doesn't think that there's something wrong with it, something has to be done, as far as we're concerned.
Do you do this anywhere else?
We do it all over the state. We have several game rooms and multiple gaming machines, not gaming, but skill games in separate locations.
So you set the regulations yourself?
We do, yes. Well, the person owning the skill game sets the regulation.
Can't they do that now, though?
Oh, they could. And they could also just stop by and give Pottstown 20%, but they won't. I mean, the amount of money that's being made, they're not looking to spread it around. We represent veterans that we provide care for, and I don't take a salary. I don't take a penny. And my brother is involved with it, and a lot of other people, where we don't take money from it. We use the money in order to do what our mission statement is.
But the state doesn't feel a reason to regulate these? And that's a question, right?
I'm in constant contact with one of the senators who was the senator pro temp for the Commonwealth about legislation. It's not coming. It was supposed to come years ago, and at this point in time, they're just, I don't want to say dragging their feet, but they're not providing any bills. I have on my phone, what was it? They gave a speech to the community, several of the senators, about how good skill games are for the community, what it provides, how it helps small businesses. And they were representing that they had a bill in place. I made the phone call the next day, and there wasn't even a bill, brought to the table yet.
I mean, why do you think this is surfacing now? These skill games have been around for a long time. In my 20s, I used to play them.
Well, what you played in your 20s were probably the one-armed bandits.
No, they were
No.
not. They were cards.
Cards, okay.
Yes.
Well, the skill games have gone through the courts in the last 3 to 4 years. And the games themselves, as opposed to the games that used to be around, the skill games now are different, okay? In order for you to win, you have to actually interact with the game. So that's what makes it a skill. Move
Always
something, turn something,
Yeah, play cards.
yeah. Well, those games were ruled illegal,
Okay.
okay? And they've been trying to do the same thing with skill games, but every court decision that has come out in the Commonwealth to date says they're not illegal. So they're here to stay.
So I guess what I'm getting at, and my question is, if the state doesn't see an issue with it, right, and they're not casino games, why should we?
They do see an issue with it, and they've said they have, and they said that there should be regulation. It's just that no one has moved for the regulation yet.
And you mentioned about 13-year-olds. I mean, I could argue they should be supervised, right? It's not the establishment to stop them.
I differ.
And
My
that's
opinion is
okay. I
different.
mean, but we could
Because
say
if
that
you
about
have
a
a
lot of things.
13-year-old child coming in and you know that that's wrong, he shouldn't be playing that machine, well, then I think it's your obligation to stop it. We don't allow it. You must be 18 years old to play our games.
How do you enforce that?
The person that is the attendant in the establishment that we have or the location that we have, if they let someone play underage, they're out the door, fired completely, no
So
questions
is that
asked.
somebody you have come in?
Yes,
And do they stay there all day?
24, well, as long as we're open, they do. As far as the
As long as
locations,
we're
like,
open, who's we're? I'm
we,
confused
our
about that.
organization, I can't speak for anyone else.
No, I'm just trying to follow. If they're your machines in, let's just say, a gas station. Your
Okay,
attendant, that gas station's hours are from 7 a.m. to midnight.
right.
Is your attendant staying there that entire time to watch?
No, but our cameras are.
So you review your cameras and then
We
go
do.
after the people?
We do.
No, they're
Yeah.
questions.
We do. I mean, we've had situations where this has happened. Okay, it's not just a fictitious number. I mean,
Have information?
yeah, we have
Okay.
information where these things have happened in
Okay.
some of the locations. We've had situations in some of our game rooms where you're not gonna hire people that are completely honest. We have one person who's under arrest now for stealing. We have another person who we had to let go for selling drugs. I mean, it's there. We police ourselves.
So what is your vetting process? If you have these issues, they're with your attendants, correct?
Right?
So do you have a vetting process or a hiring
do.
process? Okay.
We do. And
What
it
does that
doesn't
look like?
always tell the truth.
What does that look like, though? I mean, you don't need to go
It's
into
a
detail.
background
but-
check to determine whether or not there's been any type of drug convictions. And other than that, we can't do very much more than that without, encroaching on someone's liberties. So we go as far as we can. Are we looking for a profit? We are. Okay, we're looking to supply a profit for our veterans. We think they deserve it. And in doing so, no one else who is in this business, I'm sure, has come to Pottstown and said, okay, I'll give you 10% or 5% if you let us, become the only supplier. So we're looking at a situation to where we want to make it good for Pottstown as well as make it good for ourselves.
How about the business owners? What do they feel about something like this?
I can't really speak for them. All I can say is that money is their issue. Okay? There's
I
nothing
thought
behind
that might
it.
be.
Yeah. I know just about everybody in this business. I know the largest players in the business that have the most machines. They started out as being the persons who provided jukeboxes and pool tables for the bars. And then excuse me, then when the machines came in, they were in the perfect position to put their machines in. So, yeah, it's a money issue. And I don't really think there are many people out there that do care about it. But I can't, like I said, I can't speak for them. We do care.
Well, I mean, our businesses may have an issue with this, right? Because in a way, like you just said, it's money, right?
Right.
So that could be seen as hurting them and forcing them to get rid of or submit to what they already have and the machines that they've already paid for.
Yes. Do you know someone that has machines?
Yeah,
Okay, well.
I know several places that have machines. You just
Yeah.
said it, right?
Right.
Yeah, they've been
Okay.
around a long time.
Can I ask a
Well-
follow-up
Sure.
question to that?
Yeah.
Can you just kind of like clarify exactly like how this would work? So if you were authorized establishments that have existing machines now, what would happen to those machines?
Those machines would be taken out and be replaced by our machines.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Right.
Yes. And we would give them the same opportunity that they have now. We wouldn't take anything from them.
And you just buy them from the manufacturer. You're not
We do.
programming your own machines or anything.
No, they can't be programmed by us. Those machines come with some real stringent processing procedures. You have to be able to put in certain codes to get the information out. It's not available to everybody. You have to be able to supply enough money for the person to be able to have the machine. Yeah, I've gotten calls in the middle of the night where someone has won money, and most of the establishments that are with vendors, their vendor tells them, well, have them wait for a week or two. When I get down there, I'll take care of it. I get out of bed because I think it's my obligation to get there and give them what they have coming. I mean, we give a fair deal. So if someone else can do better for you, and I don't even think that they're offering, because it's a money issue for them. I don't make a penny, so it's not a money issue for me. Okay, everything that I get after I pay the people that work with us goes to our mission statement. And we've been working now for, it started with my brother and I. We went to the VA hospital. We both served. And while we were there, the older veterans were complaining about not having a way to get there. So what we did, we put a little thing on the board and said, hey, we'll take you for free. Well, when we realized it's not for free, okay, and we had to pay the bill, this is where we started getting involved. And out there in the community today, you can't make more money anywhere than dealing with these machines. I'm talking about millions of dollars. It's not just a couple dollars here and there. It's literally millions.
Did I understand you to say right now, if a gas station here in town has a machine, he has to give 60% back to the owner?
That's what the owner requires. We don't require that. One of the other things that is important is that because there is no one to oversee the machines, there's nothing in Pottstown alone. There's several places that have slot machines that they brought in from the casinos. We wouldn't allow that. I mean,
That's a whole different issue.
No,
Slot
that's
machines,
part of
because
the
they
issue.
are- But I thought the issue was the skill games.
it is. So if I'm allowed to have a skill game and I have nobody to oversee what games I put in, for me to take a slot machine and put it next to a skill machine and let people play, it's one, against the law,
Right.
okay? And two, there's no one to regulate it. So who's gonna stop them? There's no one stopping them in town today. They're there. What we would do is, we would prevent that from happening.
And you said you do this other places. Do you do this other places locally, like any surrounding
Spring
areas here?
City,
Okay.
we have a new game room. Philadelphia, Westchester, Reading area, Tamaqua, Barnesville, Mahanoy City. I mean, we're pretty spread out.
You said you do this, you don't do this with any municipalities, you have locations, like game.
We have
rooms.
locations like everyone else.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times we presented this. Okay, we don't know if this is gonna work, but we know that what we say we're gonna do, we'll do. I mean, we'll provide the regulation. We won't allow anyone to play under the age of 18. We will make sure that the machines that are in the locations are in fact skill machines, because they're the ones that the courts say are legal. And we'll make sure that the percentage that we say we will give to Pottstown, they'll get.
And the restrictions, and again, these are just questions, right? Because this is the first time we've had this presented to us, so
Okay?
we're gonna have questions, right? So are these rules based on opinions?
Well, the rules will be based on what the borough says, because we will be working for the borough. If the borough says that you shut down at 12 o'clock, then we shut down at 12 o'clock. If they say there can't be more than 5 machines, like I put in the presentation, there can't be more than 5 machines in one location, then there won't be more than 5. One gas station in Pottstown alone has more than 20 machines. I don't have that many in our game rooms.
And I don't mean this in any kind of way, and I'm not saying one way or the other, but what is the problem there? Like, I've not received any complaints or even had conversations about skill machines. I would expect that if a problem was really prevalent and causing issues, somebody would speak up in one way or another. So I don't totally, go ahead.
I'm only presenting to you what's going on. Whether you think it's a problem or not, I can't say.
Well, as
We
somebody
think
that
it's a
represents
problem.
the borough, I need to ask those
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, but we think it's a problem.
Well, that's what
mean,
I was getting
in
at,
the
right?
beginning, we said that. We're not in this just to be good guys. I mean, we want to fund our veterans as well. Okay? But in doing so, we can, put a little bit of restriction in there for these machines now.
Well, that's what I was asking. Where are these guidelines coming from? Is it
From me.
based? Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question.
It seems like we're giving you a lot of power, it seems like, in my head.
Okay?
You're coming in, every establishment has to change all the machines to your machines. You're getting paid for that.
Right. We're getting paid for it.
You establish all the regulations, well, you say we do, but, all the regulations are enforced by you.
Right.
You control the money comes in.
Okay.
You control where it divvies out. That's a lot of power.
Well, the control of the money, that, anyone from Pottstown, any of the borough council members can come along and see what comes out. I mean, you could have the passwords to get into the machines, you can audit them. Those machines tell true to the number. They tell you how much goes in and how much comes out, and they give you a net. They tell you how many percentages of the plays were on each single game. I mean, they're broken down pretty well. And I can leave here today and go on about my business, and I'll still be doing skill games.
Are we,
Okay.
is this a situation where we're creating a monopoly?
Yes. Yes.
Sounds that way.
I don't know about a
That was
monopoly,
a question
but
to this.
I want to have.
What you're doing is you're saying any machine in Pottstown, used in Pottstown, has to come from you.
Right.
That's a monopoly.
Okay.
That's a monopoly. And in exchange for you doing that, for us saying, here, we're going to give you a monopoly, you're going to give us 20% of all the net profits?
yeah.
It's a big deal.
Well, it's real simple.
Okay.
You just say no.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
that is
all.
correct.
I mean, it's not,
Or you come back and say something better.
well, if you want 30%,
See, now we're
hey,
30%.
there you go. I mean, what is it?
I was
What do you
looking at
want?
more of 100, but I mean, that's just me.
Well-
Concern there is, again, I'm gonna go back to our businesses.
Okay, our investment is gonna be over $1 million in Pottstown. This isn't gonna come free to us. We're gonna invest $1 million plus
In your machines,
in our machines.
right, not in the Pottstown, in the
Right.
machines.
Well, in our machines for Pottstown, okay? If you want to continue on, I mean, the games aren't going to go away, they're going to stay there.
Wait a minute, there's a Democratic state senator who's going to introduce a bill, she's from Montgomery and Delaware County, to ban these things.
Yeah,
It's in the Philadelphia Inquirer, August 30th.
yeah,
You just
So
looked it up.
I don't know if
Yeah.
they're going to go away. It's,
Yeah.
we shall see.
okay.
Shall see.
Well, it's been through the courts 11 times, and the courts have already said, they're illegal. Can they create a law to ban them? I'm sure they can,
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do.
yeah.
To Counselor Kirkland's question, I mean, what's being proposed is rather novel. Chuck and I have not had the opportunity to review this yet, and there's some legal aspects I think we'd sort of want to sort out if you wanted to proceed. We certainly got a lot more information tonight. If I could make a suggestion, if you sort of want the conversation to go on, perhaps refer to the Ordinance Review Committee, which would give us some time to look at the legality of what's being proposed.
I think even before we decide to proceed or think about proceeding, you probably should do some kind of analysis to let us know legally, if this is possible.
Exactly.
Well, I thought that was already done.
Well, I'd rather hear it from our.
No, I didn't do it.
I guess
I
one
didn't do
benefit
that.
would be to, like, if we had one entity controlling these things, we know how many there are in town, because I don't think we do
I
right
can
now.
tell you how many are in town, over 300. 35 locations
In the borough?
in the borough.
Are they in people houses? I
No.
want one. Oh,
Go down High Street, every location, every smoke shop, every gas station, every pizzeria, every place has them,
300.
over 300.
So determining the legality is one thing, but being the first to do something that hasn't been done puts a legal target on your back.
Yes.
And that would be my concern, but.
And I'm just gonna go back to the concern of the businesses and how they would feel about it. We need our businesses too. And I don't want you to feel like we're giving you a hard time. We have not heard about these things either, so we have to ask questions. That might be a little frustrating at times.
No, I'm okay with it.
Good.
I'm okay with it. I mean, I made an offer. If you
You
don't
did.
want it, that's fine. I don't stop today.
Well, not all of us have heard that offer.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're,
I submitted, I don't know if you got it, but I
got the pamphlet.
submitted
We got it.
Yep,
like
we
a
have it.
mock-up
This one.
ordinance.
Yes.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
right here?
No, that's
And
not it.
And I think at this time, it's our first introduction for the counselors to really sit, start to digest this. I'd like to take the time to further study this, consult with our attorneys, and probably put together another list of questions for you
Okay,
at a
that'd be
later,
fine.
at a later date.
But
So-
this didn't come from you.
That came from me, but there was something else attached to it.
Oh, okay, because it says your stuff on it, that's what I was
Yeah.
do we know who that went to?
That good to all of us?
I assume this was discussed at a meeting. Was there, he's saying
Yeah,
we
I
have
think,
further information?
I think our solicitor has the ordinance information, yeah.
All right.
And with what I don't know how to write up an ordinance, but what we did was, we just put together what we believed would work. And I thought you had gotten that. I had emailed it in today.
And again, Chuck has, our Solicitor Garner has been in touch with you and received some information. But again, what's being proposed is novel, and so I believe what Chuck thought was, as we have with other things, let's all work off the same information. And so the gentleman was invited here for a presentation tonight. But again, neither Chuck nor I have given any ultimate opinion
Okay.
on the legality of this.
So thank you for your time.
And thank you.
We will be continuing to research and discuss this. We'll get back to you.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right, thank
Have
Thank
a
you.
good evening.
you.
You too, thank you.
Okay, and now for our budget update.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it over to Marley here in a second, but we do have some good news. We were able to work down the budget a little bit further since we last presented to you in October. There's a handout that you guys all have in there. It shows kind of where we're at with the budget. We also have a comparison in there for you as well, showing the changes since 2023, since that was a question that had come up. We're at the point now where on Monday night, we'll send the full budget to you after this, and then on Monday night, we would ask for you to adopt a not-to-exceed millage and a not-to-exceed tax rate. Following that, that would mean that the budget could go down, but it just couldn't go up anymore. And we probably still have a little bit more work to do on working it down to December. That would enable us to meet our 10-day public inspection requirement, which is required for the budget, so we'd be able to post it for public inspection prior to potentially adopting it in December. So that's just the process, and I'll let Marley present the details and where we're at right now.
Good evening. As you recall, last month, we presented that the overall budget had a $504,000 deficit with a 4.93 tax increase, which amounted to an average annual tax bill of about $70 per properties that were assessed at $100,000. I can report today that the deficit has been reduced overall to $339,902, an overall tax increase of 2.96%, which equals an average annual tax bill increase of $42.38. We were able to reduce the deficit by about $164,000. With that, we were able to cut general fund budgets 1%. And as Justin presented, we would be asking council to vote Monday to exceed 14.650 mils and a total budget of $66,505,018. This slide just gives a highlight of the three funds that were in deficit: the general fund, the Parks and Recreation Fund, and the library fund. As I stated, there was about a 1% reduction for the general fund. And just to note, that did not include any major cuts for salary for employees or capital projects. The deficit was reduced, as were the mills, and it does maintain the capital savings and OPEB funding. And it also includes a $100,000 transfer from reserves to balance the budget. The Parks Fund, it decreased slightly, as well as a deficit decrease of about $5,000. And again, the Parks Fund is maintaining their capital savings funding. And the Library Fund remained relatively unchanged. I believe the $38,000 was part of the increase that they had proposed for next year's budget.
Okay.
So you can go to the next slide.
Oh, okay. Let's go on here. There we go.
Okay.
So overall, this is the summary funds. Again, it's a $66 million budget, a mills of 14.650. The tax increase is 2.96%, which would increase the average tax bill $42.13. And as Justin stated, we are continuing to review the budget. We feel that we are pretty confident that we can bring it even further, a further reduction. And we would ask for the vote of the do not exceed the mills, the millage, and the budget amount for Monday night.
Yeah, it would be for advertising
Correct.
purposes, yep.
Does anybody have any questions at this time? We will be providing the full budget at the conclusion of this meeting for everybody to review.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Thank you.
What's basically driving those those three red deficits? Is it just inflation in general?
It's wages and healthcare.
Healthcare.
For the general fund, the Parks and Rec Fund, it was the funding, it was to keep the funding to the capital savings plan. As you recall, we presented last month that there are 3 or 4 major projects that are happening this coming year that are going to be funded by that capital savings plan, because we've made attempts to transfer that money and hold that money for big projects, so those projects will not be funded from the budget, but rather what we had in savings. And then again, the library was just the increase in funding that they were asking for.
Oh, so you did increase the library's funding?
We did, yes.
From what to what?
It wasn't changed since the last, but I think it's the 38,000.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah,
right, that was what Mindy had proposed last
Okay.
yeah.
month, yeah.
Questions?
Now, when we look at it.
I have a quick question. Where do you think you'll be looking to try to get it down even further? Just line by line, or will you be trying to look into the red areas, or where specifically will you be trying to find something overall?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, across the board in
It
our.
seems like, it
in
seems
our-
like everything's pretty tight as it.
Yeah, but pretty much across the board in our.
Is there stuff that haven't come in yet, maybe?
Our kind of general fund, like where we have a lot of employees and fund, maybe that's mostly the general fund. Maybe a little bit in Parks and Rec. And maybe a little bit in the water and the sewer.
Do you have all the reports from insurance companies? Do you know what those are gonna be next year?
We do, yes.
All those came in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, the only thing we're really waiting on yet is the final assessment report from the county. So I mean, there's a possibility we could even have that for the next meeting, but if not, it'll come shortly after that. So we don't expect a huge change there because we haven't really seen the volume of reassessments from the county that we've seen in the past because our property values have come up. So while there are some, and there's some that are in court appeal, like Tower Health, those are the big ones that would really affect us. So anything that would affect us now at this point are gonna be fairly minor for the most part.
How far along is that case with the hospital? Is that still, what's the status?
Yeah, so it was determined that they did have to pay taxes, they were not tax exempt, and then they appealed it. So that is in the appeal process. We are holding, so they're paying us taxes. We are holding that funding in a certificate of deposit as insurance because we don't know what the judge is going to decide. If they decide in favor of us, we would get to keep that revenue. If not, we would have to pay it back or a portion of it back. So we're holding that in rears right now.
If that does go into our favor, will they have to pay into the rears, or we have to, how's that gonna work?
No, because we're saving the money that they're
Oh, we're saving the
paying
money,
us.
everything from,
Yeah.
where they owed us from the beginning till
Correct.
now? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not using that for our budget.
This is Sydney.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And we'll send out the full budget to you guys tomorrow, so you can take a look at it.
Okay, you'd like to replace one police officer.
Yeah, we've had turnover of one officer, and the police department would like to request the next officer available on the civil service list.
Okay. And we'll act on that Monday evening. Zoning for 936 Chestnut.
Yes, the zoning hearing board received an application from Nicholas Pollock for 936 Chestnut Street. I believe that's in Counselor Kirkland's ward. The property owner installed a driveway in the side yard without any permits. The zoning officer determined that in that area, driveways are only permitted in the rear yard. As a result, she issued a notice of violation. The property owner has appealed the zoning officer's determination and also asked for a variance in the alternative to allow the driveway in the side yard. This is a new application. I don't believe the hearing is scheduled yet. So this can either be listed for Monday night or most likely for December. And as with all zoning applications, you can decide whether you want to take a position or take no position at all.
Okay.
So it's gonna be Monday night before the meeting?
No. Monday night, it may be on the agenda.
Okay.
And we can either do nothing, we can request zoning, deny it, or we can support it. So your ward, Rita.
So she, is, I'm saying she, is it?
I believe it's a he.
Okay. You said they did not get a permit, correct? Do the work,
Correct,
and the permit was required?
correct.
Okay.
And with or without the permit, the zoning officer determined that a driveway could not be installed.
Because of distance to the neighbors?
In that area, essentially, if you have rear access to the property through an alley, in that particular neighborhood, the driveway's got to be off the alley and not the street. the individual, without knowing that, installed it in the side yard in violation of the zoning ordinance.
We discussed this like in ordinance review, and basically why we do that, because they're taking away parking from somebody that would be right in front of them, the driveway.
Yeah, because the driveway would require a curb cut.
Curb cut.
And when the curb cut's put in, that's an on-street parking space that would now be eliminated.
Yeah, it's actually something we looked at very recently in ordinance review, and so we say if they have access in the back, we want them to take access in the back. But this variance would remedy this current situation that they're in.
Well, I mean, what are the options? I mean, I guess we can do that during the meeting, but just approving a variance, or
Yeah.
is there some type of enforcement?
If you did not approve the variance, they would have to remove the driveway that they already installed.
Got it. Yep.
Okay, so we'll put that on for Monday night. Chemical bids are in,
Yep, bids are in, and we'll have a recommendation for you on Monday night.
good. Riverfront Park, this is about the bridge abutment.
Yes, so this is a long planned and awaited project. We finally were authorized by the granting agencies to go out to bid. We received several bids, with the low bid being $645,881. This is broken into a couple different things. The main part of the work involves stabilization of the abutments of the bridge where there's severe scouring on the Manatawny Creek. Alternate one is a bridge repair to the concrete decking, with the bridge being over 30 years old. There's some spalling and cracking on the bridge. And then alternate two is some additional gravel bar removal in the Manatawny Creek, which is actually contributing to the scouring that's happening onto the abutment that we're going to fix. So therefore, we're recommending that we do award a base bid and the alternates on N2, subject to review and approval of the solicitor.
Okay. Any questions? All right, we'll list that for Monday. Bid award. Resolution for the local shares account.
This one, we will have numbers on it Monday night. This is for the Memorial Park Bridge replacement, which we have other grants for. We're hoping that we can kind of get one more to get it to the goal line. So there is no match required on this grant.
Okay. Put that on for Monday. Public Transportation Agency Safety End.
Yeah, so this requires operators of public transportation systems that receive federal funds to develop an agency safety plan. So that basically includes processes and procedures to implement the safety management system in a comprehensive and collaborative systematic approach to managing safety. So those updates, we already have a safety plan. This updated that plan based on some new requirements from FTA, and they have been included in the plan and attached to the agenda. So we have to ask for council approval in order for it to become effective.
Okay, any questions? List that for Monday. And Matt, the land bank policy change.
Yes, when you created the land bank by ordinance, you required that any policies adopted by the land bank ultimately be approved by council before they become effective. The land bank would like to adopt a public comment policy. The policy itself tracks pretty closely to your policy. It would limit any type of public comment during meetings essentially to 3 minutes, and give the chairperson of the board, the authority to extend that in appropriate circumstances.
Okay. So we can approve that Monday night. Now, Trinita,
Yes.
you'd like to lead the discussion on adopt the block.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, you guys know I drive for SEPTA, and as I'm driving, I have this big window so I can see a lot. So I'm in Bucks County, and this street is a little rough, but it was clean. So I'm driving and I seen this sign that said, adopt, adopt a block. It had person's name on there and like a 5-digit code, text this in case you have an issue with the block. So I said, so when I got to the end, I Googled different areas. I texted Justin and said, how, do we have anything for a fine? You know, that green, have you ever seen a green sign that says if you live, $300 fine? So he said he was gonna look into that. And then, I said, how about adopt a block? Now, we already have block captains in that Pottstown Community Action, because I'm a block captain for my area. My thing is we can, I don't have to, because my area where I'm at is okay. And I pick up trash here and there, it's not bad. But the areas that need a block captain, they can adopt it, have their name up there on the sign, or business or organization, and they get the people involved. So I'm talking to one of my coworkers in Philadelphia, do this big thing every year. Now they have this big party, like celebrating the people that's block captains. And they get incentives, like if whoever kept their block clean during the whole year, they got a block party. So they paid for the block party, the food, the music, not everything. They had a big old thing. So one of the themes, the person who won the block party for this year had, if you can see my shirt, it says, give a hoot and teach your kids not to pollute. So I made a shirt for that because back in the 70s, I grew up in, well, actually, I was only 2 in the 70s. But anyway, back in the 70s, it had a bunch of commercials, and one of them was the owl, and as you said, give a hoot, don't pollute. And I was like, you're a kid. You're like, you don't give a, don't pollute, don't throw no trash there. And the same thing about, you remember the Indian, he was on the horse and he was crying because we'd have messed up his land and everything. And I was like, oh man, we really did a bad job. We did. But, so I'm thinking maybe we can do something like that in Pottstown. So we can have, and Reading does it, Lancaster does it, so I Googled, like there's different things that's going on now. They have it. So I did talk to Tamara. She does Pottstown Community Action. This was one of the play streets. And I seen her. I came there a little late, and I was telling her we need to revisit it and reamp it. So I just want to try to get it going to have it more that people want to. They don't have to do their block. They can adopt a block. You know what I mean? So that's my thing. That's my little spill. Adopt a block. So I have more information probably next year, because I'm gonna do some more research on it too. Do y'all have any questions?
Actually, maybe a little different than what you thought, but at least initially what I thought you were going to say, when you have adopt a block or adopt a road, you usually have the sponsor of
Yeah,
whoever's
same
paying to
thing.
have it cleaned in occasion. And that would be really useful, let's say, just for instance, the 400 block High Street or something like that.
We can do that too.
You know, maybe you'd have
Yep.
a sign that's, I don't know, if Dana Corporation or Tower Health wants to pay to have that cleaned
They could do that
occasionally.
too.
We could have a
Absolutely.
big plaque and say that that's the sponsor that's doing
Absolutely.
their best to control it over there. But
Right. Or individuals. I'm not saying that it
whoever,
have to
yeah.
be it could be myself. I can adopt a block. You know what I mean? It don't have to necessarily be a business or
Yeah.
organization.
Everybody
But
wants
to
to have
open it up to everybody.
Yeah, from just the real quick research that I did, so yeah, you want to have an entity that's the responsible party.
Yes.
So like the supervisor that's responsible, and then you want to hold them to certain criteria, right? Like, they've got to do a cleanup at least like once every, over
3
a certain
months or
period, whatever that period is. If they don't do any cleanups for a 6-month period, then they're removed from the program, kind of thing. So there's different things that we can look at. We looked at Fort Lauderdale like really quickly, and they have a program. Now they require whatever entity it is to adopt a whole mile. I don't know if that would be appropriate for us, but like at least one of our preliminary concerns is there's a lot of blocks in Pottstown, and that gets very cumbersome to try to manage. And buy
course.
signs for. So if we
Yeah.
can get stretches,
Yeah.
that would be better. That would, I think that would be more feasible to try to accomplish something. So,
Like King Street, from one end to, I don't know, almost the Hill School. I'm just
Yeah.
using that for an example.
yeah. So, yeah, so we could look into that further.
Sure. Looking.
Okay,
Any other questions?
that's it.
All right. So you'll follow through with that.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, we have upcoming board vacancies. There's one vacant term for Blighted to expire December 31. One vacant term to expire August 10 for the EAC. Still no applicants?
Yeah.
No. For Harb, there's a vacant term to expire April 1, and we have Wayne Fenstermacher as an applicant there. We can list that one. Land Bank Board, one vacant term to expire April 9, 2026. No one there. And for Planning Commission, we have one vacant term to expire February 2025. We have an applicant, Barry Beasley. Okay. Now, time for comments from citizens. Anyone online?
I know.
Yes, we do. We'll go to the people online first, and just a reminder, everyone has 3 minutes to speak, and we may respond to you after the meeting. First up is Laura Johnson, 554 Belmont Street.
Hello? Hey. So, yeah, Laura Johnson, 554 Belmont Street. I just wanted to give a quick comment. As far as how we're helping people who are unhoused in Pottstown, I just wanted to encourage or, hope that the process is continuing to be proactive in terms of ensuring that folks have some form of shelter this winter, as well as more of a long-term plan to ensure that we are putting the resources in place to help people get back on their feet. I feel like sometimes there's a lot of hand-wringing, and I don't know, it is a very tough topic, and so I feel like we get stuck a lot, and I just wanted to encourage council, as well as all of the many other stakeholders, to be proactive and collaborative as we're looking at helping people this winter and in the future. I know I've said this before, but the issue sometimes gets pitched as it's the homeless versus the businesses, or the homeless versus the homeowners. And I just don't think it can be like that. We have to look holistically at the struggles people are dealing with, and realize that we're all affected, and we all have a degree of responsibility to be there for each other. So that's my comment.
Thank you. Next up is Leanne Moyer. And Leanne, before you start, could you state your address for us, please?
Yes, my nonprofit is through Pottstown, and I do a lot of nonprofit in the area. So I do the Meals in Tent City and stuff like that. So my name is Leanne. I'm the founder of Leanne's Life Changing Fairies. My organization has the goal of supporting people on the streets and helping to keep them alive while they get their lives back on track. So one of the things we do, we feed people. We have been serving meals by the police station at Smith Plaza for the last couple of years. The reason we choose this location is that the people we feed say they are safer there near a police station, and our volunteers feel safe also. We have been doing it for all this time with no issues. We keep everything clean and make sure to leave this area looking better than it was even before we got there. Recently, we were asked to find another location because of the attention we were bringing to the park. I can't understand this. Our unhoused brothers and sisters have the same right to eat lunch at that plaza as the borough employees and other Pottstown residents who also sit there at lunch and enjoy their meal. This is no different than anyone else. It's really sad that people would have to run them off because from a place that they feel safe just because they don't like to see these folks and how they look. Most of us are just a big bill or a paycheck away, and I find this really upsetting. Our town needs to do a little better than this.
I'm sorry, Leanne, could I get your address for the record?
Yeah, I'm actually in Bartow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my nonprofit is through, I do all my stuff through, Boyertown Homeless all the way to Pottstown and Norristown, so.
Is that it?
That's
Thank
it.
you. Next up is Deb Spence.
All right,
Deb.
but I signed in first. I guess we're doing it backwards.
And Deb, could you
and so-
please state your address for the record?
Well, she didn't state her address, so I could say I'm from Pottstown. I work out of Pottstown.
No, you have to state your address.
Well, did she state her address?
Deb, yes, she did. Deb, state your address. Look, I gotta get up in the morning and go to
I'm
work.
from Pottstown.
Deb,
My public comment is, when did it change that you only get back to certain people with questions? I think you all have it backwards. Like, you are there at the privilege of the people, of the public. And if you can't engage the public, then don't be there. And if you can't control your administration, then don't be there. Because if if the public can only engage sometime, or only if you're white, you're right, if you're black, get to the back, it shouldn't be like that. Again, for the third month in a row, my question is, when will the road in back of Wawa, when will it have maintenance, repair? It's a bunch of potholes. My other question is, when will the website be updated with the FAQ? There's like 10 FAQs about fire and 2 other ones very small. So there are a lot of questions that people have, and you can't get answers here at the meeting because only some people get the privilege or the courtesy of a response. So if you maybe updated the FAQ for the public, then we can get our questions answered. I'd like to say thank you to Andrew Monastra for spending the day in his ward, engaging with the public, asking them if they have questions, if there's anything that he can help them with, is there a problem that they want him to solve. That's civic engagement. He stayed out for about 10 hours. He didn't have to. He's running unopposed. There's some school board members that ran unopposed. I didn't see them at all in my ward. So I think that was super awesome. He's really smart, very intelligent man, and he has a lot of answers to how we can revitalize.
I thought that was
That presentation that
3
was
minutes.
done at the transit meeting, that was a fantasy, a fairy tale. Because if you walk down High Street, there's every other storefront empty, vacant, somebody in there, vacant, somebody in there, vacant. What are we doing about addressing that? What are we doing about engaging revitalization instead of worrying about Halloween candy and all of those things that are fun, but they don't change our lives for the better? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Bruce Madera. I'm sorry, I should know your address, but I can't. 548 North Adams Street. 548 North Adams.
No, 543.
543 North Adams. Sorry, I couldn't read it.
I won't struggle with you. It's no secret where I live. We citizens, not just talking for myself, but other people who talk to me, when we relate to government, our local government, it's nice to be talked to and to try to be helped. And there are 3 people I want to highlight tonight and commend. who just stand out for me, along with others. And one is Miss Vanity.
You.
And another is the mayor. We had a conversation one night that was very helpful. And a third is just this afternoon, do I have her name correctly? Winter Stokes of Codes. And I had a matter to talk to, and she took extra time because I had extra questions. And there was no problem with that. Now, that's customer service in a time right now when customer service generally is pretty bad all over, but not at Borough Hall. But, I have a couple of buts here. The manager has been very gracious to be open about the budget coming up as it is. But it's a CIA secret what television is paid, and even their phone number, if they have a phone number. I can find this out for myself with another contract company to deal with, Mascaro. In fact, I have the phone number of Pat Mascaro, the president of Mascaro, if I needed to call. But I could go through Public Works there. And thirdly and lastly, and briefly as I can, there is a perception and a reality that's coming across to people, to me and to a lot of people in and out of town, about how the homeless are being treated or are being ignored. They're on a trail now, and that's not so good maybe, but they're told just move along, go somewhere else. There's always somewhere else for these people. Meanwhile, council members are telling people who have struggle in life, well, I'm gonna snitch on you. This is what I heard at council meeting this past year. I've also heard a whole meeting, almost a whole meeting, where a counselor said, who's not welcome in this town? Groundhogs in the cemetery. This is what we're concerned about. And it's a matter of hilarity to some people, but it's a serious matter. It's getting colder out there, and they're feeling it, they're hurting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jody Kimdy, 53 College Drive.
Hi, I'm Jody Candy. One of those people that you guys speak of from Ten City. And we are just like everybody else. We have a life just like everybody else. I'm a mom of 3 wonderful angels that I should have never been blessed with. That were adopted because I fell on hard times because I didn't want to be in an abusive relationship. My ex-husband almost killed me several times in front of my children to where my daughter saved my life. So, sorry.
It's okay.
So I had to make that tough choice. And I left my 5-bedroom house, car, money, business, and I moved underneath the bridge. And that was in 2017. And I am still there, not in that area, in Penn City, but through the 6 years, yes, I became addicted to drugs. Yes, I came out of my, I had 11 months clean and went down to the main line, got clean, and worked and had a house and a fiance again. And then my kids went up for adoption, and I had to sign my rights up, no matter how hard I worked. So, screw it, needle went back in my arm. Why not, right? And here I am back in Pottstown. And should I have stayed with my abusive ex-husband just so I wasn't looked upon as nothing? We're all something. Every one of us have a story. And until anybody wants to sit there and actually get to know us, and I say us like we're separate, we're not separate. We bleed the same as you. Inside it's blue, outside it's red. I mean, all we ask is not to be judged. Come see where we live. Yeah, it's messy, but we're trying to clean it up. We can't fix what people did before us. We can only fix what is now. And, you know, Leanne's group is amazing. Because a year ago, I didn't care. I just wanted to know where my next fix was gonna come from. Today, I stayed in front of you 4 months and 4 days clean.
Right,
And
right.
I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of every single person in Tent City, because I see a change. Everybody along the trail, everybody, you know, throughout Pottstown, there's so many different spots in Pottstown, I'm not gonna tell you guys.
Good.
But, you know, last year I was one of those people in a tent, freezing my butt off. And if it wasn't for, you know, Jess, I would have probably died, but she made sure I was warm. You know, Tom comes out every week, if not more. You know, the doctors come out, and I'm a self-mutilator. I've sat there and I've purposely given myself abscesses, okay? And if it wasn't for the doctors coming out, I would have died through infection.
That's your time, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you.
Thank you for being brave enough to speak.
And that concludes public comment.
Amazing.
Oh,
I have my name on there.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Nicole Jackson, 1511 Cherry Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking up.
yeah.
Good evening. I want to speak in regards to the article in the newspaper about the borough notice that homeless neighbors must leave the land where they lay their head at night, being enforced on December 1st. Sorry, can't get a good height. There's been a lot of conflict surrounding Beacon of Hope, as well as what to do to address the issue of homelessness. I'm certainly concerned about my homeless neighbors, their needs, their safety, and their dignity. This notice certainly brings me sorrow, as I know this effort will be very disruptive to these folks, like my new friend Jody, who are already living on the margins and dealing with multiple challenges on the daily. While I wish I could actually address these notices and this decision for the actual lived reality of my neighbors, what I wish to address specifically today is the inclusion of Beacon of Hope services on said flyer, not by Beacon of Hope, but by the people who authored this flyer. In the last meeting, there were requests from this very microphone of you all to file an injunction on Beacon of Hope operating, and I really just want to request that we stay consistent, that you dismiss the request to file an injunction, as you are also telling homeless folks to seek them out after they are being forcibly removed. This issue and these people are not going away. Please discontinue your pushback on Beacon of Hope so that they can continue to help folks in need. The only way, as my friend Laura said, to get through this is by working together, not putting unnecessary roadblocks in the way. Thank you for your time.
Now that concludes public comment.
Thank you.
And for counselors, Counselor Proskal.
Well, the boys had a great time at the Halloween parade, and I appreciate all the people that made that happen. But actually, I enjoyed Haunts on High the most, usually every year. I think it started with Audra Hammer Ross initially. I think Marie Haig took it this year, but it's kind of fun to go in. I mean, I try to go into business as often as I can, but it's rare where I would go up down High Street, in one day, especially for the candy. The boys liked it.
Counselor Banny.
Just a couple of things. I was talking with a business, and they mentioned, they've had 3 locations here in Pottstown, and they mentioned that the process is the same as far as licensing and inspection. So I wanted to ask the Efficient Methods Committee to take a look at streamlining that process, as well as updating the website. I know we have talked about when I was on the Efficient Methods Committee.
Okay.
So that's just a suggestion. I do want to thank Jody for speaking. That took a lot of courage. And I have I did enjoy participating in the Halloween parade and Haunts on High, and I didn't think I looked that different, but people didn't know who I was, which was really amusing to me. One really nice thing I wanted to share is, I know you can't really see it, but it's a handwritten letter in crayon. I had a father and a daughter knock on my door before Halloween, and I can't read it all because it is written in crayon, but I'd like to read just a little bit of it, because this touched me. It was during Halloween, and it's labeled "Trick or Treat for Canned Goods," and it benefits a certain place. And she says she's 8. Hi, my name is Delilah. I am 8 years old. My favorite food is pickles, and I like to go fairy hunting.
Oh.
This year, I'm asking for non-perishable food. I can't read the unopened. Just no glass, please. My goal is to make enough food for people to feed on. If you won't be home, that's okay. I just ask that you place your bag on your doorstep for my daddy to grab. Thank you for helping, and happy Halloween, Delilah.
That was too
That
cute.
made my heart happy, and I can tell you she received a bag from me. And they really did come back, and the first thing when they came to the door wasn't trick or treat, wasn't about candy, was, do you have cans? And they were so happy, and this just, with all the stuff that's going on, and the heaviness, and the fighting, and the bitterness, this just made me happy. So I just wanted to share something really sweet.
That's cute.
And I think that's all.
Great. Counselor Lebedinsky.
Nothing other than congratulations to the 3 council people that have been reelected. Looking forward to work with all of you. Again.
And one of those is Counselor Lindsay.
Yes, I want to thank everybody for coming out to the polls. I didn't get a chance to tour and go, I usually go around and say hi to you guys. I didn't have a chance to do that because I was just staying where I was at in my polls. I didn't go out. I just didn't go. There were a couple of candidates on both parties that came out. That was really cool to see them. You know, they came out and visit and stuff. And I just want to tell them thank you. The Halloween parade, yes, it was really nice. It was a nice day. It wasn't too cold. So it was nice. And that was my first Halloween. I've been and I watched the Halloween parade, but I didn't actually participate. So that was fun. I had fun with that. Then I went with Stephanie to YMCA. We had fun there and went and got some candy. Well, the kids had candy and everything like that. So that was cute. That was nice up there. And I did forget, Luke sent me for the Pottstown Middle School. They have a free Thanksgiving dinner November 18th at 2 p.m. So the menu, I'm gonna tell you the menu. The menu has turkey, of course, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, green string beans, bread, corn melody, and a lot of desserts. So, but you have to call, and the number is 610-970-6290. Other than that, that's it for me.
Very good. Counselor Monastra.
A couple of things. Yeah, Ms. Spence was right. I was out there. It was a lovely day. Wonderful to get out and talk to so many of the people in this town. And as you know, okay, when we do talk to people in town, they like to discuss their issues
Of course.
with us, okay, and how they can get help for what they need. And I say to them, Wednesday, we're meeting the whole, Monday is the council meeting. I encourage you to come and speak and talk. That's how you do it. And I got 2 themes as to why they did not, okay? One we might be able to fix, the other I don't know. But the one was, well, and Ms. Spence broke it up, but she wasn't the only one, that said, I don't want to go there because my questions don't get answered. And perhaps in the future, when we hire the borough manager, assistant borough manager person, okay, and that person hopefully will reside in the borough of Pottstown, and part of his or her job would be to respond to said constituents so they felt that they were heard. And as I say to people when they ask me for advice or how to do stuff or an answer or a solution, I said, I'll get you an answer. It may not be the answer you want, but I'll get you an answer. So I think that perhaps maybe when we do, because I know Justin's got a lot of stuff to do, man, and I don't want to have him, but perhaps the new borough manager could go back, or new assistant borough manager could, that person could, as part of his or her job, correspond with those people and make them feel heard. And maybe they'll have more confidence. The other one is I don't know what to do because I heard it from at least 10 people. They don't come for the fear of retribution. What?
What?
The fear of retribution.
From their neighbors, yes,
Yes.
I know.
Oh, from the neighbors.
Oh, from the borough. Okay.
Oh.
The fear of retribution.
What would that be?
Yeah.
Getting cited, getting bothered. People have told me they've complained about their neighbors or something like that, and then all of a sudden they're cited for a cracked sidewalk. I'm just reporting the news, okay? Reporting what was told.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Okay.
I don't have an answer for that, but I think it's something that if we have to do what we can to encourage people to participate in government and to encourage the fact that they're heard. And not to feel that they will be subject to retribution if they dare speak out.
I like your idea of the first condition.
Well, maybe?
You get, add
Yes, Justin.
Add it to the job description.
I'll talk to you offline about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Councilor Kirkland.
Nothing.
Mayor Hendry.
A couple things. I just wanted to respond and ask a question. I'm fairly sure that we, council, has put rules in place for conducting the meetings, and that's why when questions are asked during public comment, they're not responded to, not because council doesn't want to give a response, but I'm fairly sure that's in the rules. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
You're correct. In terms of the public comment period while it's happening, council has restricted itself from responding at that time.
Correct. Yeah.
It doesn't mean there won't be a response. It just won't be instant.
Right.
You know that.
Yep.
Correct. I just don't know if everybody else
Yeah.
seems to
Yeah, no.
know that, and the reason I would think Justin doesn't respond, again, is because that's in our rules.
Right, but no, the manager and his staff, they are charged with responding.
Right, not at the meeting, though.
But not at the meeting, correct.
Right.
And just wanted to remind everyone, Random Acts of Kindness Challenge. Again, Random Acts of Kindness Challenge that ends November 13th. Again, please do whatever you normally do. I know people don't want to, I guess, toot their own horn and tell us what they're doing. And so they're not reporting random acts of kindness. But I see it all over. So right now, I would like to award 1 point to Ward 7 for Bruce Madera for that lovely compliment. Bruce, you know that you can be difficult, so when you say thank you, it means so much. I really appreciate it. And I also want to award 1 rack point to Ward 2. Jody, it takes a ton of courage to come up here and speak for an entire neighborhood.
Yep.
and I'm very proud of you, and for you to come up here and make everybody heard, that's amazing. So those are my 2 points. Trinita, stick them on the Google Doc.
What? Those, the two that you just said? Okay, yes, ma'am.
And I've been keeping notes.
Yes, just send them
about
to me.
ones I've seen, because people don't, like you said, want to toot their own horn, so.
I believe that.
Do you need a refresher as to what the Random Acts of Kindness Challenge is?
I do believe,
Trinita and I are leading, or 7 are leading, because
4 is way in the lead,
that's because Trinita reported.
but you just picked up a 7.
I have a 7, because I did one.
You said 7, okay.
7 too.
I'll get mine in. I'll give you a run for your money.
Okay, and as for me, I have nothing more to add. We will be going into executive session, discussing litigation. We will not return, there'll be no action taken. Meeting adjourned.